So yeah, I actually like that oceanfront mansion very much. I found it myself online one day. I was looking at it. I was like, hey, with my brain so on, what would I buy? I didn't even cross my mind. I was just looking at random things, and I was looking at nice mansions, and it came upon there on YouTube, and I was like, oh my God, that looks really feel like I've seen that somewhere. And I was like, hold on a second. They sent this to me as one of their blackmail price tags. And I was like, I actually like this mansion. You know what? After my brain savant gets freed, thanks for letting me know. I will definitely buy this mansion for sure. A couple of years after my brain savant gets freed, for sure. Thanks for telling me about this place. It's very nice. I like it. But yeah, abusive language to abuse them people at the court while narrating for the third time, very aggressively claiming that he was trying to help the courts get to the truth of the matter and that he was the victim of not being allowed to speak. And so, speaking of blackmail price tags, yeah, I already said it a couple times. He sent me 15 2 days ago, obviously. Only for the courts to retrieve the phone conversations to verify every statement my dad, the greedy framer, was making after being allowed back into the courts after April 2026, only to find out that each and every statement that my dad, the greedy framer, made after being allowed back into the court for the third time were all completely false. He was playing the court for a fool for the third time, basically. And not one statement that my dad, the greedy framer, made in court after April 2026, basically the third time he's allowed, after November 20th, 2025, and then the subsequent lies that were already confessed to being lies to the government informant that he still made very aggressively because he couldn't be notified by his framer sisters that we had already confessed to these being lies. Very hilarious, especially considering how he reacted on the night of February 10th, where he's calling and messaging me February 11th after midnight, 22 minutes past midnight, and then sending me a porn star's picture 3:17 a.m. with his sister Far's name on it, and a picture of a woman resembling his other sister. Very disgusting individual at 3:56 a.m., basically selling his sisters for illegal assurances of money since he thought that this was the only way that he could get it now. And then after that, he didn't stop. After that, he sent me blackmail price tags and money, thinking that I did not know that the only reason that this psychopath is sending me these is because he's been caught lying way too many times, and this is the only option that he has. Yeah. So not one statement that my dad, the greedy framer, made in court after April 2026 while abusing all the court staff, yelling at them and berating them all day and every day, and while aggressively arguing against the court staff. Basically, the reason he was doing this was because he knew that this was the only option that he had left. He'd been caught lying way too many times. He'd been caught trying to use incest for illegal assurances of money before my brain savant would get freed. He'd been caught doing basically everything possible in order to get illegal assurances of money for greed after his extreme envy of trying to use false testimonies and lies against me to try to get my brain savant locked up. We're already all caught. And accusing the people at court of twisting his words, not letting him speak, only for us to find out, when the phone conversations were retrieved, that these weren't twisting of words, fouls in his statements, because they were all false. And those files, he'd be like, you're twisting my words. No, they're finding fouls because they're all false. At the end of the day, when the phone conversations were retrieved, we found out that they were all completely false. And so aggressively berating the people at court and abusing them out of being completely and totally false beyond a reasonable doubt. Let me repeat for the courts the fact that each and every statement that my dad, the greedy framer, made after being allowed back into court for the third time were all completely and totally false, and not one statement being true in the least bit. And the only reason my dad, the greedy framer, was showing so much aggressive behavior while abusing and berating all the court staff was only to cause fear into them, only so that they would become too scared to speak on the other side, and that he could make his lies with ease for the third time after already being caught having a false testimony being made against me after begging law enforcement and his framer sisters to make it on November 20th, 2025 that caused mass panic and chaos, followed by aggressively making lies following November 20th, 2025 that caused mass panic and chaos as well, only to be found out as being planned lies that were confessed to the government informant as being planned lies, while the November 20th false testimony was being fabricated by my dad, the greedy framer sisters. So basically they confessed to the government informant as these being complete and total lies as well. They're hitting my foot. I gotta take a break.